Let me begin by thanking each and every one of you for your concern, kind words, and sincere advice. I never imagined this story would spread so widely. I've been a long-time lurker on this subreddit with my main account, and I don't often see responses like this. When I posted yesterday morning, I was utterly desperate, and I had already taken many steps to find him, including calling friends and family. Many people told me I was probably overreacting, that he was just having fun. But something didn't sit right with me, so when I came to Reddit, I just hoped a few people would tell me that I hadn't lost my mind. When I called the hotel, they initially told me they couldn't provide information about guests due to the privacy laws in my country. The police couldn't help either, saying I should contact them again if he didn't return by Tuesday morning. I spoke with the festival management, who confirmed that he had scanned his ticket at the entrance on Friday. However, since they worked with wristbands, there was no way for them to check if my boyfriend attended on Saturday and Sunday. With the hotel, the festival, and the police all being quite indifferent, I decided to turn to Reddit. I didn't include all these details in my initial post because I didn't want it to be too long, and I thought I could add more information by responding to all of you. This worked fine until the post received over 100 reactions, then 1,000 plus, and even 5,000 plus, which was absolutely overwhelming to me. Honestly, I don't know how to thank you all enough. Your responses really helped me through this and confirmed that the likelihood of something bad having happened was far greater than him just having fun. After calling the hotel again and pleading with the manager for quite a while, they were finally able to inform me that there had been no reservation under his name. I sent them his photo, and they checked the security footage around the time his phone showed up there. Although they couldn't give me the results, they promised to keep the footage on file in case the police needed it later. I contacted the police again with this information, and while they were initially hesitant to investigate further, they did call the hotel to request the footage from that Friday night. A while later, they called me back to say that my boyfriend hadn't shown up on any of the cameras throughout the weekend, meaning they could rule out the possibility that he had even been there. Because his phone clearly showed his location at the venue and I had screenshots to prove it, the police realized that something wasn't right and promised to investigate immediately. One of our mutual friends and I decided to drive to the festival site, about a 4-hour drive. We knew we wouldn't be able to get in since we didn't have tickets, and even if we did, it would be impossible to find him in a crowd of over 65,000 people. But at least we'd be close by in case we received any news, and we could ask around to see if anyone recognized his picture. Before we got there, I received another call from the police. My boyfriend had been in the hospital since Saturday morning. He had been found in a ditch in the festival parking lot around 3 a.m., along with several other people who had also attended the festival. They had all been severely beaten and had no belongings left. The hospital found traces of the same drug in their systems, which led the police to suspect that they had been targeted and drugged by groups of people looking for easy victims, people who were alone. Apparently, it usually takes 1 to 2 days to identify an unconscious person without any form of ID, which is why I hadn't heard anything sooner. The police are continuing their investigation and will let us know when they find out who is responsible. We've already confirmed that we want to press charges. My boyfriend is okay now, and he's expected to recover smoothly. He broke his collarbone and wrist, is covered in bruises and cuts, and suffered a mild concussion. He came home very late Sunday night, and unfortunately, or fortunately, he doesn't remember anything about the incident or the events leading up to it. I feel so relieved and happy that we found him and that he's safe, but I'm also incredibly angry at the people who did this to him and to the others who were found. You always hear horror stories about things like this, but you never think it will happen to you. I'm sorry I didn't update sooner, but as you can imagine, it wasn't the first thing on my mind in the past 24 hours. I'll try to answer a few more questions today if anyone still has any, and then I'll leave it at that. Dear Redditors, thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Update 1. After my boyfriend was taken to the hospital and his health gradually stabilized, we began receiving information from the police about the people possibly involved in the attack. While I felt relieved that his life was no longer in danger, I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened and the people responsible for inflicting this pain. The police had opened an investigation and requested the hospital to provide detailed information about the type of drugs the victims had ingested. They suspected that this criminal group had not only targeted my boyfriend but might have a list of other victims. These people could have been tracking the festival, searching for easy targets, especially those who were alone, and attacking them to rob their belongings and cause harm. While waiting for the investigation results, I decided to continue looking for any signs that could help the police. I reached out to other festival attendees, asking if anyone had seen or identified any unusual behavior in the parking lot area where my boyfriend and the other victims were attacked. Fortunately, a few people reported seeing a group of young men acting suspiciously, walking near people who appeared lost or were alone. We provided this information to the police, and they managed to track down the suspects through surveillance cameras near the festival grounds and the parking lot. After a thorough investigation, the police discovered that this group had been operating throughout the festival season and had carried out similar attacks at other events. This made me feel as though the world around me had suddenly become more dangerous than ever before. During this time, I also received incredible support from family and friends. A close friend came to the hospital with me when I couldn't leave, and we worked together to help my boyfriend throughout his recovery process. He still couldn't remember exactly what had happened that night, but each day he made small progress and mentioned that he felt safer with me by his side. The day after the hospital confirmed that my boyfriend would fully recover, I received a call from the police. They had arrested one of the suspects involved in the attack. This person admitted to their actions and provided information about the other accomplices. The police had also gathered evidence linking this group to other attacks they had carried out, and they were in the process of investigating to apprehend the remaining members. Although I felt relief knowing that those responsible for this would be held accountable, a heavy feeling still lingered in my heart. What had happened was a wake-up call for all of us about the insecurity we could face anywhere, even in places we consider to be safe. Why would some people treat the lives of others like a game? The feelings of anger and helplessness still haunt me every day, but I know I need to stay strong. I not only need to support my boyfriend throughout his recovery, but also help him regain trust in the world around him. And I also need to ensure that those who cause this pain pay the price for their actions. In the end, I feel like I've grown a lot throughout this process. The price I paid was high, but I've learned a valuable lesson about resilience, love, and responsibility to myself and those around me. Update 2. After the attackers were arrested, my life seemed to return to normal, but not long after. An unexpected truth shattered everything I thought I knew about my boyfriend. The police continued their investigation and collected evidence from phone calls and messages during the time of the attack. One day, I received a call from the officer in charge of the case. He asked me to come to the police station immediately to clarify some matters. When I arrived, he showed me some documents they had gathered from my boyfriend's phone. At first, I felt anxious, wondering why there was a call from me in his records. But when I looked at the messages and calls my boyfriend had made just before the attack, I was stunned. There was a series of calls and messages I had never seen before, all sent to another woman. Who was she? How did I not know? The police said they had discovered that throughout our relationship, my boyfriend had maintained a relationship with this woman that I was completely unaware of. I couldn't believe my eyes. Every call, every message, every affectionate word that I had never heard him say to me, all of it was sent to her. The police explained that these messages weren't related to the attack, but they also mentioned that this relationship might have been a factor in the events of that day. It seemed that this woman was the last person to contact my boyfriend before he went missing. Perhaps she knew about our trip and intentionally caused trouble with him, putting him in a dangerous situation. The pain I felt at that moment was indescribable. I felt like I was standing in the middle of a whirlwind of emotions, anger, disappointment, and heartbreak. How did I not see something was wrong? How could I have trusted him so blindly? I turned to face my boyfriend, who was recovering in the hospital. His eyes looked at me helplessly as I asked him about the other woman. He couldn't deny it, as everything was too clear. He admitted that his relationship with her had lasted over a year, but he explained that it was just an affair and that there were no deep feelings involved. He had tried to hide it from me, fearing I would leave him, and then I asked myself, was what I had built with him truly love, or was it just deception? Did he ever truly love me, or did he simply exploit my trust to hide the truth? I decided to face the truth, no matter how painful it was. This relationship was no longer the same. I needed time to think, to determine if I could forgive him and continue this relationship or not.
But one thing I was sure of, I could not accept lies, especially after I had trusted him so much.
And the final realization I had was that in the harshest situations, when everything falls apart, we come to understand ourselves better and recognize what we truly deserve. Update 3. After facing the truth about my boyfriend's affair, a sense of turmoil overwhelmed me. However, I knew I needed to know everything, not letting ambiguity continue to hinder my life. I decided not to stop at what I already knew, but to keep investigating, to uncover the whole truth, despite the pain and hurt. After leaving the hospital, I began searching for more information. A close friend of mine, whom I trusted deeply, helped me get in touch with a private investigator. This expert had experience working with complex cases involving affairs and deceitful stories. We started searching for any other traces that might have been overlooked. The investigator helped me trace additional phone calls and hidden messages in my boyfriend's phone. I had to endure painful moments reading the affectionate messages and secret calls he had made with the other woman. But what shocked me even more were other details I had never known. One of the things I discovered was that my boyfriend had transferred a large sum of money unusually. The flow of money was unclear, with no receipts or any logical explanation. According to the investigator, this could be part of a larger scheme that I couldn't immediately see. A large sum of money might have been transferred to the other woman or to someone connected with the group that attacked my boyfriend. I even found a link between my boyfriend and the group of people who had attacked him. One of the criminals arrested admitted that he received money from an unidentified person to deal with people who were considered easy targets. After further investigation, I discovered that my boyfriend might have been caught in a dark game that he couldn't escape, leading to those tragic events. When I questioned him again, I heard a different story. My boyfriend admitted that he had been deceived by the other woman, whom he thought was just a light and harmless relationship. She had made promises, convincing him that everything could be changed in his life without hurting anyone. However, everything got out of control when she lured him into dangerous situations, even involving criminal gangs. He confessed that he wasn't the one initiating this, but due to his ignorance and getting caught in a complex game, he became a target for scammers and criminals. I couldn't help but feel sorry for him, but at the same time, I was incredibly angry that he hadn't been honest with me from the start. Everything became clearer when the investigator found out that my boyfriend had fallen into a trap he didn't even know about. The other woman, whom he believed loved him, was actually a con artist exploiting him to carry out criminal activities, and then abandoning him when things got dangerous. With enough evidence, I had no other choice but to decide to leave him. I couldn't continue living in a lie, and I couldn't face someone who didn't truly understand the value of honesty and trust. I had helped him find safety, but I couldn't keep supporting this deception. This story is not just about my boyfriend being deceived, it is also about me. I've learned a painful lesson about seeing people clearly, without letting emotions cloud my judgment. I've also realized that sometimes, standing up and exposing the truth, no matter how painful, is the only way to protect myself and those around me. No matter how things end, I feel stronger than I ever did before. The truth, no matter how harsh, will guide me in the right direction, and from now on, I will only trust those who truly deserve it. Update 4. The conclusion of the story, after all the pain and harsh truths, was a pivotal turning point in my life. Although everything had changed, I felt like I had grown a lot. After discovering the truth about my boyfriend, I decided to end the relationship. Not because I didn't love him, but because I realized that love cannot exist on the foundation of lies and deceit. This decision was not easy, especially since I still had feelings for him, but I knew that I deserved someone who would love and respect me. I could no longer continue living in a relationship lacking transparency, where the truth was always hidden beneath a false facade. After the breakup, I took time to care for myself, heal from the wounds, and reflect on everything I had been through. I began seeking peace in simple things, like spending time with family, friends, and especially my daughter Camila. Each day, I learned to love myself more, rebuild the trust and the strength I had lost over the years. Although my ex-boyfriend tried to apologize and promised to change, I knew that his words no longer held any meaning for me. The truth was too clear, and I couldn't continue living in a relationship where trust had been completely shattered. I decided to cut contact with him. Sometimes we must let go of things we once thought were important in order to protect ourselves and reclaim our freedom. Things gradually returned to normal. Although the emotional wound still remained, I knew I had done the right thing. I didn't allow someone else's mistakes to define my life. I had learned to be strong, to reject what didn't deserve my attention, and to continually seek better things for myself and my family. After some time, I realized that suffering and life's challenges are not the end. Instead, they are stepping stones for me to become stronger, wiser, and to find true values in life. I not only learned to love myself more, but also how to love those around me without allowing deceit to creep in. In the end, I understood that life is a journey full of challenges, and sometimes we must let go of the old to make room for new opportunities. I don't know what the future holds, but I am ready to face it with a strong heart and a soul full of hope.